Rockin' Larry Lockin' with Pleiadian Express Productions, your host with the most from coast to coast, giving you coolness, hotness, and everything you wantedness. Okay, so I did a couple of talks this month. I did Galactic History Volume 1. In that conversation, I dealt with our galactical solar system, the Milky Way galaxy history as it pertains to the Arcturians, the Lyrans, and the Pleiadians. Talked about that, their evolution, each of their evolutions, and what they have done in the galaxy, their issues they had with other star systems, whatnot. You can check that out. That's Volume 1. Volume 2, just the other day, I talked about the Sirius star system and the Orion constellation and their rise to power and how, they became real forces to be reckoned with in this galaxy, and many, many interstellar wars between each other. They caused a lot of havoc, but you can hear all about that in Volume 2. Now, Volume 3, tonight, we're going to talk about Procyon. We're going to talk about star beings from Procyon. We're going to talk about the traits of Procyon star beings. Okay, I hadn't thought about this in years. I ran across a group I created for the hell of it about 8 years ago called the Procyon Players on Facebook. It's kind of a dead group, only about 50 people in it. But it got me to thinking, in all my channelings I've done and contacts I've had over the years, my handful with the Arcturians, my endless ones with the Pleiadians and Lyrans. Even I did have the opportunity on about 4 occasions to have contact from a collective of Pleiadians, as well as there was some Syrian dolphin energy in there. Other than that, I've never really contacted the Syrians, but I've never contacted Procyon before, ever. But here's what I did do, and this is what led me into creating that group that time. When I was channeling one of the collectives from the Pleiadians that I do, this one happened to be a 7th dimensional orb collective. These were, humans like us morphed into orbs of different colors. So, I asked them one time, just because I had a really good relationship with them. I'd ask them funny questions, and they had a really big sense of humor. But I asked them one time, I said, what is up with Procyon? What are they all about? Well, I'm going to get into that in a minute, what they're about. Let's. Some of this information I'm going to put out. Some of it was channeled to me, and a little bit of it is actually fact. Let's just start with what we know for sure to be an Earth fact about Procyon, okay? We know that they are a binary star system, kind of a yellowish-white star in Canis Minor. It's a constellation in the northern hemisphere. It's like one of the 10 brightest stars you can see from here on Earth. It's made up of Procyon A, which is like the main sequence star, and then you got Procyon B, a smaller white dwarf. The thing about them is, and this is what was channeled to me, okay? I asked, well, who created them? What's up with their DNA? And basically what I was told is that they are an offshot. They are a Pleiadian Syrian kind of crossbreed. Okay, and as the orb explained to me, their personality really fits it. They have a lot of Syrian characteristics. They're fierce, indigenous type warriors, yet they're total sky dreamers and surfers like Pleiadians are. In fact, the orb also told me that they are actually probably the most grounded and practical of the star races that we deal with. They're a lot less spiritual than most of the starseed races are. They are very intellectual. They're very logical and analytical minded, and that's kind of a Pleiadian trait of theirs, right? As far as what their body looks like, well, they have blonde or they have brunette hair. Their eyes can fluctuate between blue and gray. Of course, they've got all those accentuated features, and you notice it even here too on Earth. Any starseed woman that you know, I mean, anyone that is a true starseed female, they have high cheekbones, voluptuous lips, a rounder shaped colored eyes, and other features that it wouldn't be appropriate for me to mention that are really nice on them and very accentuated. Well, that's kind of the same thing with the Procyons. The orb told me that, yeah, that their sexual organs on the males are typically huge. Everything on the female is nice and accentuated, and they're a very fun-loving party animal, wild type of cousin, is how the orb described it. Described them. That's how they are. He also said that he told me that the way they travel is not like a lot of other star nations. They don't really travel in Merkabas, the personal self-ascension vehicle, or, spacecraft. What they're able to do is they're kind of like dimensional surfers. They astral travel. And the way he described it to me was this: they astral travel consciously. Okay, so they're not in a dream state when they're doing this. They astral travel consciously through dimensions, through time, through, wormholes, everything. It's just their body. It's like instead of being in a Merkaba or a ship, they're flying like Superman with their arms stretched out through the dimensions. Now, it has been said that because I knew the Pleiadians had tried to make a deal with the U.S. government in the 40s, and the government didn't want any of it because the Pleiadians wanted peace on Earth, and they had a lot to offer in return to Earth. But no, our corrupt government went ahead and went with the Greys. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get involved in it. Involved Eisenhower and a bunch of stuff. But the Procyons also, what the orb told me, the Procyons also tried to strike a deal, because they're the closest civilization to Earth. They're only 11.4 light years away, which I know that's a lot of fucking miles, 11 million miles, right? It's a lot of miles, but they're the closest to us. They have a very highly advanced civilization. It's a beautiful planet, or their environment is very gorgeous. They are the perfect combination of a super high-tech society along with a very indigenous rooted mentality of individualism. You know what I mean? Everybody is their own individual, but yet together they're kind of like, they're almost like the Pleiadians on steroids. You know what I mean? With a little bit of Syrian traits all around them. They have protected us before. They have actually, and they haven't gotten the credit for it. They have came in and they have stopped, Greys, reptilian races, hostile races from other places, even some hostile humanoid races, yes. They have intercepted them and stopped them from coming through the passage to get here, like come through the Milky Way. There's all kinds of wormholes and stargates that all the star nations know of that we don't yet. One thing that I was reading about them, though, is it says that they were involved in our development as far as with the Cro-Magnon human being in this, current incarnation of Earth. I didn't get that from the orb. I don't know about that. Maybe I know that the Syrians, the Orions, with their reptilian DNA, which, by the way, that came from Draco originally, not their constellation. But the Syrians, Orion, and the Pleiadians and some other races had some say in what went into our DNA to create this current incarnation of humans on Earth. I'm not talking about a million years ago in the Atlantis and Lemuria times when they destroyed the planet with a nuclear war between the two superpowers, and it, set off the deluge, the great flood that you hear about in the Quran and the Bible. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in this incarnation, slipping that into our DNA. And it's possible that, I guess it's possible Procyon did as well, but if Procyon is a mix of Syrian and Pleiadian DNA already, I guess, I guess so. I guess in that way they did. But the orb didn't say anything to me about them influencing early Cro-Magnon. But yeah, they're just kind of like they're kind of like would be like a higher fourth dimensional Earth living type of situation, only in a really, only probably up in the, I don't know, 10th or 11th dimension. They, they don't exist in time. Everything is about the now moment to them, like most other star races are at their home areas. And they, like I said, they consciously, the one thing is, if I could wrap them up in a nutshell, they're all very physically fit, and all their features are very accentuated. They're like the perfect body. They like to have fun. They love to laugh. They love to smile. They care about Earth humans. They love us. They wish they could be more involved with us. They really do. And like I said, they're consciously astral traveling all day, consciously, not in a meditative state, not sleeping, not in trance. Just they do that. Just they flow like all day long. They just flow like Superman flowing through different dimensions in and out. Okay, so that's kind of who they are and what they're about. Yeah, they're kind of unknown. A lot of people will recognize and identify with incarnates here, will identify with Arcturians, Syrians, Pleiadians, Lyrans, some even Orion, more and more. But you don't really hear a lot of people talking about Procyon. So I'd be curious to hear somebody who might hear this respond to me and leave me a message at, Larry Locken. Of course, I also go by the Loony Lyran when my Facebook account gets a little restricted. I do have a backup account called the Loony Lyran, LOONY LYRAN. There is a Loony Lyran out there that's LOONEY, and that used to be my account, but I can't get into it anymore. So I have this other one, okay? So if you see that around, that's me. Contact me if you have roots with Procyon, or you feel you do. If you feel that this resonates with you. I've got a picture that I'm going to put as the thumbnail with this video, showing what, the star beings from Procyon look like. Very fun-loving, individualists, carefree, got a mix of Syrian and Pleiadian traits in them. And that's about all I can say, they're the closest star civilization to us, and I don't know. I really feel like our first contact, it could actually be with them. We're thinking the Pleiadians, we're thinking Arcturians, we're thinking Syrians, we're thinking maybe a collective of all them, probably. But it very well could be Procyon. I just feel like that's innately a strong possibility. But I'm not going to say for sure, because you don't know. Everything is on a different timeline. That will happen, and it won't happen, and then it might happen. You know what I mean? Everything, every outcome you could ever imagine is a reality. So we'll just have to see if it's on our timeline, or, my particular timeline. So I guess we're going to find out, unless, the timeline changes along the way, and then we won't, but we will. All right, this has been Rockin' Lockin'. Check us out at Pleiadian Express Productions. Check us out at the Pleiadian Light Grid Project. Both YouTube channels. They both have Facebook channels. Yeah, so check us out. And also check out the other 2 volumes I did, volumes 1 and 2 of Galactic History. I'll put a playlist together after I post this around, and maybe use that in the comment section. But I appreciate everybody listening, and have a great rest of your, I guess the week's getting ready to start. Have a great week, and namaste. I'm out. Peace.